There comes a time in every young superhero's life where they stop being the sidekick and move on to something bigger, becoming a superhero. And a lot of times this happens in the best of ways, not so much as in the movies, but as much as in the comics and also the video games. You get to see the rise of one of your favorite sidekicks becoming more than what the superhero expected them to be. But back when I was growing up, back in 2008 or 9, we had one exciting series that came out that I think that it would be good to go back and rewatch and kind of do a little bit of a review and retrospective of it. Maybe not too much of a deep dive into it, so to speak, like I have done with some other of the episodes here, but just kind of go back and forth with it so you guys can tell me if you guys like these, because if you do, then I can do more of them in the future. But welcome to me rewatching, revisiting, and also kind of reviewing, but also doing a retrospective of one of my favorite animated series of all time. And I'm sorry to say that it is not probably what you were expecting when I was talking about Sidekick. A lot of you probably thought I was talking about, you know, these people that live in a giant T. Um, it's sort of the same, but not really. I'll get more into that in just a little bit. But nope, we're talking about one of my favorite animated series growing up, kind of growing up, and that is the one and the only Cartoon Network exclusive. Greetings, kids and nerds. I'm Lady Universe, and I'm White and Nerdy. Yeah, I'm talking about one of my favorite animated series of all time, Young Justice, and this is just not the entire season one or season two or anything. This is basically just the first four episodes that I just am gonna go over. I know that a lot of people do like the rewatching things and they go like through an entire season of it. No, I'm just gonna re-review or review the first basically four episodes and kind of talk about the series and the progression. Now, in case a lot of you guys don't know, Young Justice is technically still the Teen Titans. Young Justice was created years after the Teen Titans, in fact, and the first three members or the founding members of the Young Justice team is Impulse, Robin, Tim Drake, Superboy, not Jonathan Kent, is Connor, Wonder Girl, and off the top of my head, I think that's it. I'm trying to remember the Young Justice team, and I think that's it. But Young Justice was a very successful, very popular comic book series. I actually owned a couple of issues myself in my old comic book collection, not the one I have now. And I thought the team was pretty cool, but I liked the Teen Titans more than I did Young Justice. Nothing against the team or anything. I just found because I had a lot of the single issue of the George Perez, Mark Wolfman, New Teen Titans, and that's the team I mostly fell in love with. So nothing against Young Justice fans. I'm just speaking my own opinions here. But back when the series came out, I was like, yeah, I could get into this. I could watch this and everything. The animation is beautiful, the storytelling quality is amazing, and above all, it kind of starts out in a very unique and sinister way with everybody facing off against ice villains. And at the time for Cartoon Network, it was like they could do no wrong. Any series that they came up with, it was like fantastic. You wanted to see more, and you would stick around from beginning to end to see a lot more of these. If Cartoon Network just had a good handle on superhero shows, which now that they failed in, and back at the time, this was amazing to see on your television screen. The voice cast was simply much more amazing. You did not have Kevin Conroy as Batman. You didn't have Tim Daly or George Newbern as Superman. You had a lot of other different voice actors. Like, for example, Robin is voiced by teenage pop superstar, and I would know this because I technically grew up with him, Jesse McCartney. And Jesse McCartney pulled off a damn good Robin. Like, I was impressed that I liked his Robin a lot more. Even when I heard the rumors back before this cartoon came on, I'm like, he's not going to be an impressive Robin. No, he really captures the emotion of freaking Dick Grayson, and I was like, oh my lord, this is just great. I thought that was, fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Corey Payton as Cyborg as much as the next guy, but for me, him voicing Aqualad or Calder is great. He really captures Aqualad's personality just fucking fantastically. Crispin Freeman, the voice of Alucard, voices Speedy or whatever. And while he's not present in the series, I think that it was still awesome to have him in here nonetheless. And freaking Nolan North, the voice actor of Nathan Drake, voices, I believe, people can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think he voices both Superman and Superboy. That's amazing. And also, if Nolan North comes back in here and he says, like, I want to voice Superman, let him voice Superman. He does an amazing, amazing job at voicing Superman. I think that this is just a very amazing, that he is a very amazing Superman. And also talking about this series a little bit after Independence Day, and the first episode is called Independence Day. Yeah, I don't regret a damn thing about doing this, you know. But the series just in a total all have a very similar plot in it, and for some people or also new viewers, you don't have to necessarily go into the first episode. A lot of people would be like, if you don't go into the first episode, I'm going to freaking destroy you. That's not what happens here. If people tell you that, don't even give a damn because the series just in a total is very amazing at basically trying to tie in everything together, but having a different spin on things. It would be great if you watch the first two. If you watch the second episode without seeing the first, you're gonna kind of be a little bit lost because you don't know what happened. But after that, the team kind of formed together, and then it just gets all the way better, truthfully. It's kind of funny that one of the incidents that the Justice League wanted to look into, they didn't end up doing so. So the Young Justice team actually do, and they find out it's a lot more than what the Justice League expects. This is where they find Connor, aka Superboy, but they claim that Connor is Superman's son, which is not actually true because Superboy wouldn't be created until I believe 2013. And also for a superhero show, you would expect a lot of fight scenes. There are a lot of fight scenes, and I do like how the chemistry between the new team is way too good. Including in their first fight, they end up fighting one of the more obscure villains of the Teen Titans line, and that is Blockbuster, which is very funny. Speaking of funny, however, this series, something that it does very great is that it takes a lot of like the older DC superheroes and makes them badasses during the whole entire thing. Like in the first episode, they take Blockbuster, a really obscure DC villain, and they kind of make him a badass. They take Doctor Double X, who was this really obscure villain in the in like the golden age of DC. They take him and they turn him into basically a threat. They take, the Guardian, as people probably also know from I think one of the seasons of Arrow. They take him and then they make him again a badass, and they just keep bringing in different villains from any superhero time standard, and especially bringing in technically the first villain of the Teen Titans, Mr. Twister, who was this really strange looking villain from their first team up in Brave and the Bold, and turned him into a threat. This is just amazing in of its own right, and the series was very great at doing this, at throwing twists and turns at you, but making you honestly care about it. I know that they bring in Jack Kirby's New Gods later, and they kind of redefine the New Gods in a sense, which is also very cool to honor and respect, Jack the King Kirby. But it's still very amazing what this series has also done just in a small time that it was on, television. I love one of the aspects of that. They end up having to have mentors on the team like Red Tornado, Batman, Black Canary, which I all think is very good to have in a series like this. Then, later on in the series, when the team starts making mistakes, they start making accidents and whatnot, you honestly feel that because you have to remember deep down inside that these are still a teenage superhero team. And every single one of the team members here end up getting pressure put on them from the older superheroes because they want to look up to them and they want to prove that they're much more than just sidekick to the superheroes, which is honorable. If you're a fan of like Static Shot, the Teen Titans, Justice League, Batman the Animated Series, or even Superman the Animated Series, this series is very much worth checking out and it's worth your time. It has superb writing, fantastic voice acting, spectacular animation, and all around, this is just a great series for either adults or children to get into. It's fucking brilliant. And also for parents watching this thinking like, I don't know if I can get my child into this show, don't worry, you can. The first four episodes basically have nothing really bad to worry about, and in fact it doesn't go anywhere dark. I think it like goes darker towards the Young Justice Outsiders series that was on, I think, Netflix. I think that's when the show gets darker, but here no, it's a very kind of lighted tone episode. There are some like dark suggested material, but unless like you're a reader like me or you're a fan of the books and whatnot, you don't actually have to worry about that. And Young Justice still to this day is like fucking brilliant in its craft and design. Like how the writer decided to go, okay, we're gonna take DC's golden, silver, and modern history. We're going to smush it all together and we're going to make gold out of it. And this series really is the highlight of gold, and especially me growing up as a big Teen Titan fan of both of the animated series long before the comic books. This really holds up, as my favorite series, and especially that Greg Sipes, the voice actor for Beast Boy, does appear in season I think 3 of Young Justice. Unfortunately, I couldn't watch it at the time, but he did reappear in season 3, voicing the character. I do like the look of Beast Boy that he had in the series, though. But in the total, going back and revisiting this, yeah, man, this was too good of a series for Cartoon Network to drop because now we have to deal with fucking Teen Titans Go, and it's not. Don't get me wrong, like I hate it, but there are like some good episodes in there, but there's not as many good episodes as in like Teen Titans, and there's also Young Justice. So Cartoon Network really dropped the ball when they dropped this series and handed it over to Netflix to get things done. So kind of making me hoping that my friend Superman, I think that's what it's called when it premieres, um, will be as good as this. Is what I'm hoping for in the future. But yeah, if you're a Teen Titan fan, if you're a Young Justice fan, if you like Justice League, which I have here, and if you're excited for something different to watch aside from the usual crap that's on there, there are some notable good series to watch, but there are also some like bad animated series to watch. This is very much a high choice for geeks and nerds like you and me to get into, to go and check out some Young Justice. Give me a second, I made myself dizzy by accident. Give me a minute. Okay, I'm good. So yeah, check out Young Justice. I know I only own season one, volume one. I would love to pick up the other season, but we watching the first four episodes. Yeah, man, the plot is very, very good. Them going into Azimuth, them breaking out. Azimuth is also a reference to Raven. Azimuth, Metro, and Zinzos. Them breaking into Azimuth, breaking out Connor, and then, having to save the day only for them to be screwed over by the Justice League at first until Superman, Batman, and Aquaman, especially Flash and Green Arrow, were like, but they're kids. I mean, they were gonna do this anyways. Kids rebellion and everything, Green Day and whatnot. Or either that or you can do the Beatles, like, do you want a revolution? And just go with the flow, man. I mean, hey, kids are gonna rebel. What are you gonna do? You know. And then the other two episodes, Welcome to Happy Harbor, which is their first technically mission, what they think they're being tested, and then it turns out that Mr. Twister actually really does want them dead. It was fucking amazing in and of its right, especially to have Ms. Margin or McGann fucking smush Mr. Twister.